Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we're tackling a set of documents that, well, they really force you to rethink what a state agency is supposed to be for.
Right.
We all sort of operate on this idea that a Department of Corrections is there for public safety, maybe rehabilitation. That's the brochure version anyway.
That's the official mission statement, sure. But what we have here, we've got the Alabama Department of Corrections' own strategic plans for 2024, 2025, internal audits, RFPs.
All their own paperwork.
Exactly. And it paints a picture of an organization that seems confused about whether it's a prison system or like a private equity firm.
That's the contradiction that just grabbed me immediately. On one side, you have this system in total crisis. DOJ lawsuits, staggering violence, crumbling buildings.
A complete mess.
But then you look at these other documents, these financial reports, and you see a massive revenue-generating engine.
And that is the absolute core of it. We use this term political economy, and it can sound academic, but this is not abstract at all. We're looking at the specific mechanics of how a state agency treats people, not as humans to be fixed, but as, financial assets to be milked.
And to be really clear for everyone listening, we aren't just talking about saving money here. This isn't about budget efficiency. This is active extraction.
Yes.
We're tracking money coming from families, from prisoner labor, and then these huge sums going out to private companies.
It's like a three-part economy.
Yeah.
And in every single part of it, the incentives are just. They're completely backward. The things that make the system money are the very things that make it more dangerous.
Okay, so let's start with the money coming from the outside, from families.
Right.
If your loved one is inside, the phone is your lifeline.
Yeah.
But looking at these RFP documents for the inmate phone system, this feels less like a service and more like a shakedown.
Well, the key term in the industry is site commission. And if you just hear that, it sounds, boring. An administrative fee or something?
No, like rent for the phone booth.
Exactly. But it's not. When the ADOC puts this contract out to bid, they're basically asking one question. How much of the revenue you collect are you going to kick back to us?
And the numbers are right there in the documents. We're talking a monthly revenue share for the department of between $300,000 and $350,000.
So that's over $4 million a year.
A year.
And you have to ask yourself, where's that $4 million come from? The vendor isn't just eating that cost.
No, it's baked right into the price of the call.
It's why Alabama is ranked 44th in the entire country for call affordability. That money, that site commission, is coming directly from the families. It is a hidden tax.
A tax on the poorest people in the state, really. If I'm a mother in Birmingham working 2 jobs, and I put $20 on my son's phone account,
a huge chunk of that $20 is instantly diverted to the ADOC's general fund. It's a tax that never had to go through the legislature.
And now, it's not just phones. These documents talk about tablets, one-to-one tablets, which on the surface sounds great, right? Modernization.
That's the sales pitch. Education, legal resources. But in reality, these tablets are just point-of-sale devices. They're digital storefronts. You want to send an email, that's a fee. Listen to music. Subscription.
I was looking at the ancillary fees section, and the one that floored me was the inactivity fee.
Oh, that's one of the worst practices in the industry. It's truly egregious.
How is that even legal? A vendor just takes your money because you haven't used the account?
It's buried in the terms of service. So if an inmate gets released or transferred and there's, say, $12 left in their account, after a certain period of inactivity, the vendor starts deducting a monthly fee until the balance is zero.
You just absorb it.
They absorb it. They're capitalizing on the fact that it's too difficult for a newly released person to chase down a $12 refund. It is extraction by attrition.
So that's the money from families. But the ADOC's own strategic plan for 2024-2025, it signals a huge focus on the prisoners themselves, not just as consumers, but as a labor force.
And this is where the language gets almost shockingly honest. The ADOC calls its work release program, and this is a direct quote, a significant financial and programmatic opportunity and a valuable revenue stream.
A valuable revenue stream. They're not hiding it.
Not at all, and the numbers back it up completely. In just the first part of 2024, the work release program generated over $11.2 million, paid directly to the ADOC.
Okay, $11.2 million. Let's put that in context, because for years the model was prison industries, right? Making license plates, furniture.
Alabama Correctional Industries, or ACI, yeah.
But the audit shows ACI is a financial disaster.
It's hemorrhaging money. ACI lost over $789,000 in one fiscal year. You've got these absurd situations like their chemical plant losing almost $200,000 while employing 0 inmates. It's just pure overhead.
So the state looks at this and thinks, wait a minute, why are we running factories?
Exactly. Why run a factory inside the walls where we pay for the security, the lights, the equipment, when we can just rent the people out to a private company?
And take a cut.
A massive cut. The ADOC takes 40% of an inmate's gross wages.
40% of the gross.
Yes, not the net. Before taxes, before anything.
So the argument that this is for room and board, that doesn't really hold up, does it?
I mean, if it were a flat fee, maybe. But a percentage of gross wages is an income tax. A 40% tax rate is higher than what billionaires pay. And that's before they charge them for transportation to the job site and laundry for their work clothes.
It creates this incredible conflict of interest for the state.
It's the definition of a perverse incentive.
If I'm the commissioner, and I can either put someone in a GED class, which costs me money, or I can put them on a work crew that pays me 40% of their wages.
Yeah.
The budget tells me what to do.
Rehabilitation is a cost center. Work release is a profit center. The system is built to choose profit over rehabilitation every single time. It's an echo of the old convict leasing system, just modernized.
Okay, so the system is very, very good at taking money in. But when we look at the money going out, specifically for healthcare, efficiency just seems to evaporate.
Well, efficiency for the taxpayer vanishes. For the corporation, it's working perfectly. We have to talk about the healthcare contract with this company, YesCare.
The number is it's huge. $1.06 billion.
Yeah.
Over 4 years.
$1 billion contract. But the real story here is the legal trick the company used. It's known as the Texas two-step.
Okay, you have to unpack that because it sounds like a loophole the size of a truck.
It's a controversial bankruptcy strategy. So imagine a company is facing tons of lawsuits for, say, medical neglect and wrongful deaths.
Which this company was.
Right. So instead of paying out those claims, they perform what's called a divisive merger. They split the company in two. New co gets all the good stuff, the contracts, the cash, the assets. Old co gets stuck with all the bad stuff, all the debt, and all the lawsuits.
And then old co declares bankruptcy.
Immediately. And that freezes all the lawsuits. So the families of people who died from bad care are now just creditors in a bankruptcy court hoping for pennies. Meanwhile, new co, now called YesCare, walks away with a clean slate.
And gets a $1 billion contract from Alabama.
Precisely. And while the state writes that $1 billion check to a liability-proof company, look at how it treats its own liabilities, the sickest people in its care.
The medical furlough numbers.
Right. This is the program to release people who are terminally ill, who are no longer a threat. Releasing them is humane, and it saves the state a fortune in medical bills.
You would think it would be used all the time.
In fiscal year 2024, there were 27 applications. The ADOC approved 11.
Only 11 people.
11. So the system protects the private company from liability, but refuses to release the dying victims of that environment. The responsibility is completely inverted.
Which brings us to the actual conditions inside. Because if you're making millions from labor and phone kickbacks, you'd think the prisons would be, I don't know, functional?
Functional is not the word. The staffing numbers are terrifying. We're talking about a warehousing model that's been stripped to the bone.
The report lists 688 funded vacant security positions.
Funded vacancies. The money is in the budget, they just can't hire people. Or won't. You have fewer than 2,000 security staff for over 21,000 inmates. The ratios are insane.
And that leads directly to the violence. The homicide rate is 6 times the national average.
6 times. Over 1,400 assaults in 1 year. The incident summaries, I mean, they read like a dispatch log from a war zone. Stabbings, riots, overdoses, day after day.
And this is where that financial model comes full circle. Why is there so much contraband, so many drugs, so many cell phones inside?
Because there's no one there to stop it. But here's the ultimate irony. The state hates the contraband cell phones. Do you know why?
They compete with the official phones.
They compete with the kickback phones. Exactly. An inmate on a smuggled smartphone isn't paying the state's vendor 40 cents a minute. So the state is desperate to stop the phones to protect its revenue stream.
But the model that prioritizes that revenue stream means cutting staff salaries, which means they can't hire enough people to stop the phones.
They are literally chasing their own tail, and people are dying in the chaos.
So what's the state's answer to all this? The DOJ lawsuits? The violence?
Not hiring more staff, not programming, construction.
The $1 billion supersized prisons.
That's the plan. Spend over $1 billion, partly from COVID relief funds, by the way, to build 2 new mega prisons, 4,000 beds each.
4,000 beds. How do you even manage a place that big?
It's the field of dreams fallacy. If you build it, they will come. They think a shiny new building will magically solve the staffing crisis. But if you can't staff the old prisons, how on earth are you going to staff a 4,000-bed facility? You can't.
So you're just building a bigger, newer warehouse.
A bigger warehouse that needs to stay full to pay off the construction bonds. You're creating an incentive to keep incarceration rates high.
Which explains the recidivism rate. It's almost 30%. Nearly 1 in 3 people who get out come right back.
If a hospital had a 30% failure rate, it would be shut down. But if your system views bodies as a revenue stream, through labor, through phone fees, then a 30% return rate isn't failure, it's customer retention.
That is a bleak, bleak thought. But the numbers line up.
The incentives are everything. If your own strategic plan calls your inmate population a valuable revenue stream, you have zero financial incentive to ever shrink that population. An empty bed is a financial loss.
You don't optimize something you want to get rid of. You optimize something you want more of.
That's it right there. A successful correctional system should want to put itself out of business. This system is designed for expansion.
And it's all fueled by money taken from the poorest communities in the state.
A direct wealth transfer from the poor to state coffers and private corporations.
So when you stack all of this up, the kickbacks, the labor, the healthcare contracts, the violence, what's the final picture?
The picture is that this is not a broken system. A broken system doesn't successfully generate millions in revenue. The system is working exactly as it is designed. It is incredibly efficient at extraction. It's just a catastrophic failure at being human.
That's the reality we have to sit with.
It is. And I think the final question for everyone listening is this. The state says these billion-dollar prisons are about public safety. But if the system's own documents view the people inside as a revenue stream to be maximized,
Right.
what incentive does it ever have to actually let those people go?
Can the state afford to lose its best customers? It's a question you should ask about your own local systems. Look up the phone rates, the commissary fees. This is happening everywhere, hiding in plain sight. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us.
Thank you.